Hey, I'm Jono.
And I'm Ian, and we are Bike Gearheads, and today we're going to give you a long-term review of the Bianchi Oltre.
Yeah, it is their hyper bike.
Wow.
Yeah, it is wild. Look at it.
It is obvious.
It's obvious it's a hyper bike.
It is obvious it's their hyper bike.
Yeah.
I've never seen a bike quite like this bike before.
No, it's designed to have aero intakes in the front. Like,
Yeah, and if you are watching the Pro Peloton, they have taken those off because the UCI said they are not allowed, but not on this one because we're not racing any UCI races, so we get to keep it on there, and it's fast.
Yeah, and it looks wild.
It looks crazy.
It draws all the eyeballs in the group ride, and people are going to be complimenting you.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I would say that like the Pinarello Dogma F back in the day would have been the bike that would have been like, oh man, everybody's going to look at you on the group ride and be impressed. It's this bike now.
Yeah. So let's dive into it.
Cool.
Chat about it.
First of all, where does this bike fall in the line for Bianchi?
So this is their ultimate do-it-all race bike.
Okay.
Similar to how Pinarello has the Dogma series, the Dogma F. This would be direct comparison to that. So it's the flagship of the brand.
Gotcha. And then they do have another bike that would be like their climbing bike, right? Which is the Specialissima. And then they have some other bikes. Like the Sprint is more of kind of like a price level down, and that's more of an all-around everyday bike.
Yeah, more like a Cervelo soloist competitor. So yeah, this is their all-arounder, leaning towards more aero bike, obviously, with the look of it. But you still can climb on it really well. It's, yeah, if you have one bike, one road bike, I'd say it'd be a great option.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, if you are riding Grand Tours and stuff like that, this is like the GC rider's bike.
Yeah.
For sure. So they ride this for pretty much everything. If they are climbing, they might go with something different. They might go to the Specialissima, but this bike can still do it.
All right, so out of the Oltre lineup, there are a few different models. We have the Oltre RC, the Oltre Pro, the Oltre Comp, and the Oltre Race. So throughout the lineup, there's a few different options depending on price point, but this is the ultimate.
Yeah, and from what I've seen, this one is the most extreme as far as appearance goes, and also aerodynamics and all-out performance.
Yeah.
As you go down the line, does the frame change at all, or do they just change the things that are on it?
So the Oltre RC and Oltre Pro, they're gonna have the same looking frame. With the lower end models, it will not be that integrated bar stem combo.
So do all the models come with the air deflectors, or is that only on the top end models?
Only the top end. So on the RC and the Pro, you get the air deflectors. Lower models will not have that.
So you are how tall again?
I am 6'1".
All right, what size did you ride?
I rode the 59.
Okay.
I was kind of between the two sizes. It's a little tricky. So only 6 sizes for this frame. So it can be a little interesting, especially with the integrated bar stem. You kind of have to factor that in to your stack height, which I kind of didn't at first. So that's what threw me off. I could probably ride the 57 and be fine, but I was a little concerned because looking at the geo chart, the stack height was super low, but with the way the stem rises up, you know, that makes up for it. So you got to keep that in mind. So if you have any questions about that, be sure to reach out to a Gearhead. They'll be able to help you with the sizing because it is trickier to size. Yeah,
it is pretty tricky to size. And also the spacers on this one, it's kind of interesting how like the headset actually goes like down into the frame and the top tube kind of comes over top. So you can actually run spacers without it kind of, you'd still be considered like slammed.
Yeah,
but then you can go like ultra slammed, which is almost like down into the frame.
Yeah, exactly.
So it depends. You could probably ride a couple different sizes, but yeah, you do need to reach out to a Gearhead to figure out which one's optimal for you based on what you want to do with the bike.
Yeah, so it felt a little long on the 59, so I would probably size down personally and go from there.
All right, so you're on the 59. What's the stack and reach on that?
So the reach is 406 millimeters, and then the stack is 555.
Okay.
So it's a little bit longer than I would typically run on my road bikes. But if I was looking at the 57, I saw that it was a 402, which would be more what I would want for the reach. But the stack height was listed as 536, and that is like super low for me. So, but again, with the spacers and the rise of the stem, it would have been just fine. But I just didn't even factor that in when I was looking at it.
Yeah, I mean, this is a relatively new bike for Bianchi and a relatively new bike for us.
Yeah.
It takes us a little longer to get them on the stateside, and they sent this one to us as a marketing bike, and they were like, "Oh, what size do you need?" And it was like, "Oh, we're not exactly sure yet, but now we can help you out. Now we know."
Yeah, now we know.
Now we know, and the Gearheads know too, so they can get you sized up perfectly.
The color options will be the black on black, like you see behind us, or there's a black and Celeste color.
Yeah, so the Celeste is classic Bianchi, so that would probably be my choice. What about you?
I think so. The black's a little too subtle. You know, you want it to pop a little bit more, and I think the Celeste would really do that.
Yeah, definitely. And what do you think about those wheels?
Oh, those wheels are awesome. Specifically designed for this bike, and they look pretty wild. You don't often see like that shiny carbon.
Like gloss wheels?
Yeah, but it's glossed to like a raw carbon almost. It's really, it's pretty unique.
Yeah, definitely very cool.
Yeah.
So what about the bottom bracket on this bike?
This one is going to be a press fit, so not threaded. Not Italian threaded.
Not Italian threaded. Yeah. I mean, a lot of the high-end bikes are still press fit, and they do it well nowadays. There's not really a lot of issues with them, but I know some people are concerned about it. I mean, for serviceability at home, it's not awesome, but you're not really going to run into any issues with creaking or anything like that these days.
Not a big deal.
All right, John. So we went through some of the details, went through some of the specs on this frame. How about we talk about how it rides?
Let's do it.
Just give me your general impressions about, just riding on regular roads, maybe flat roads, stuff like that with this bike.
Yeah, on flat roads, it feels really fast. I feel like you're just slicing through the wind, even with the air intakes up there. I don't know, maybe it's more aero.
Yeah, man, it sucks it in, pushes it out, it's more aerodynamic.
I think it slices through the wind.
Slices through the wind.
Super sporty on the flats. It does feel, really stiff. It's like a race bike should. With that, it's not too harsh. I'd say it's comparable to like the Dogma F. So it's a race bike. You're gonna feel some bumps. It's not gonna be your endurance bike. Just be aware of that.
Yeah.
But I think that's what people are looking for when they look for a bike like this. They want something that is stiff and feels like you're just slicing through the air.
Yeah, definitely. And what about sprinting when you went to put the power down and sprint on this bike?
Yeah.
How'd that feel?
Very efficient. That rear end is really solid. And as you can see here, like the bridge at the seat stay, it's pretty beefy there. So you don't feel any flex at all. You feel like all your power is going straight to the ground.
No, that's great. And then we did some climbs and some descents with the bike. How about you start with the climbs and let us know how it was on the way down?
Yeah, I mean, it's for me, because I did pick the larger size, it felt a little bit, slower on the climbs, a little big in the front end.
Might have been stretched out a little bit too much. You weren't in the greatest climbing position for this one.
Yeah, so it's hard to really, judge it off of that, but it still climbed really well. I think if you're looking for an all-out climbing bike, maybe like the Specialissimo would be better, but this one can still, climb pretty well. You're not going to get dropped in your local, weekend ride, I don't think.
Yeah, definitely. And I would say that this one is probably not the easiest. I mean, we'll weigh it here in a little bit, but it's probably not the easiest one to get to the UCI limit. But we see bikes in the Pro Peloton getting heavier and heavier, and the races being faster and faster. So they obviously don't see that as a huge issue when they're developing a bike like this. But if you do prioritize weight, then this may not be the best option for climbing.
They're designed to be more aerodynamic, and with that, you save your watts there in the flats, and you can make up for it. You're more rested for when it is time to climb, so you're not going to feel the weight as much.
Yeah, definitely. And then how about on the descents once it pointed downhill?
It handled really well. It's racy feeling, so kind of twitchy wherever you want it. You can really just nail that corner, or if you need to make a micro adjustment, like it's super easy to do.
Or avoid something in the road or something like that.
Yeah. Potholes, road furniture, all the things.
Yeah, you looked very fast.
And stable, very stable. So we did some nice switchback turns, and I had no issues like making the turn where I wanted to.
Yeah, it looked fast when you were going downhill. It was hard to keep up with you.
That's the nice thing about it too. Even if you're going slow downhill on this bike, you look like you're flying.
You're always going to be looking fast on
no
this
matter
bike.
what you're doing.
No matter what
fast.
you're doing. Yeah, definitely.
So it's got that.
So I definitely think they designed this bike for their race teams, for pro racing. I think that's what they designed it for. But who do you think the bike is for?
I think it's for people that are racing. I think if you're doing more amateur type rides or races, like it might be a little overkill, but I think for that person who has a long history of racing, I think they've been kind of waiting to see where things go, but this is like the peak, the hyper bike that you can get today. So if you're looking for like the all-out, most racy, most aggressive looking bike, like it's hard to beat this one.
Yeah, I would say if you're on the start line, people are gonna be looking at you like, oh yeah, this guy's gonna be crushing it. One other thing I would say about this bike is I think if you do want to be like a breakaway rider, or you do like trying to get in the early break, or you like trying to win solo, win alone, this bike is a great option for that. It is very aerodynamic and it is super efficient as far as power goes, so I think it's good for that too.
Yeah, it doesn't have like a ton of tire clearance, so if you're looking for more of a all-road bike, it's definitely not that.
Yeah.
It's not an endurance bike, not an all-road bike, it is strictly a race bike. All right, so we don't think it's the lightest thing, but we have to weigh it and see just how heavy it is.
All right, let's weigh this bike. All right, so we said 59.
59.
Size 59, and this does not have pedals. It doesn't have any other accessories on it, so it's just how it comes out of the box.
Yep, computer mount.
Yep, Ultegra computer mount. All right, what are you gonna go with?
I'm gonna go 17.5.
I'm gonna go heavier than that. I'm gonna go like 19 pounds.
Ooh, 17 pounds, 14 ounces, or 8.04 kilograms.
That's actually not that bad.
No.
That's a little bit lighter than I thought it was gonna be.
All right, all-arounder. Great all-arounder.
Yep, great all-around bike. Well, yeah, that was great. That's a good look at that bike. If you're considering the bike, please reach out to one of our Gearheads. They can definitely help you out. Thanks for watching this video. If you do have questions, leave them down in the comments below. Make sure you like this video, and make sure you subscribe to our channel.
Yeah, see you out on the roads.
See you out on the roads.